Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kabibhidiritam Kalma Shapaham Shravana Mangalam Srimadatam Bhuvi Grinantiye Bhurida Jana. Let us resume our discussion on Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual discourses with his intimate devotees at the house of Girish Chandra Ghosh on 25th of February 1885, when Sri Ramakrishna visited Calcutta to witness the drama Vrishaketu. And there was a spiritual discussion. It appears in the 5th volume of the originally Bengali presentation, 517-2, in the 2nd volume of Hindi translation, Sri Ramakrishna Bachanamrit, 208-2, and in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, chronologically presented, chapter 22. Sri Ramakrishna was discussing both with the young spiritual aspirants and the householder devotees and prescribing that both the anchorites and the householders are eligible to realize God, which is the common goal of every being. So far it was believed that in order to realize God, one has to be a full-timer, devoting the entire time for spiritual pursuits of one's own emancipation. Sri Ramakrishna, the incarnation of the present age, is the first to declare that both householders and sannyasins are equally eligible to realize God. And not only that, he told that univocally, he lived a life of householder and sannyasin, two in one simultaneously. It's a fantastic story. It has never happened in the history of the world that how a person can be the all-renouncing monk and a householder in the fullest sense of the term simultaneously. It can be one or the other. That is the tradition of our country, that one is a consequence of other. The life is to be divided into 4 parts. First is the student life, brahmacharya. The first 25 years of life to spend for learning and gathering. Following 25 years is the life of the householders, garhastha jivan. Professional life, earning money, maintaining family, helping others. And following 25 years at vanaprastha, the superannuated state, retirement life, sedentary work, and taking a back seat, retirement. And 4th stage is sannyas, when you completely retire from the world and live in seclusion. Now here is the first time we see that Sri Ramakrishna was living with his wife till the last day of his life, and at the same time was the highest model of the renunciation. So he was the one-way guru of the young spiritual aspirants like Swami Vivekananda, Brahmananda. They are all the highest order of enlightened monks, guiding them, and on the other, he was guiding other householder devotees like Girish Chandra Ghosh, Ramchandra Datta, Balaram Bose and Mahendra Gupta were leading very successful householders' life. At the same time, they realized God in this very life. And being the center of the two, they managed both. Let us remember that Sri Ramakrishna was not a compromised householder. He took the responsibility of his family to the fullest sense of the term. As a householder has to maintain his wife, he did the same thing. He asked Sima Sharda Devi, what is her maintenance cost? How many chapatis she eat every day? It was a very embarrassing question for a lady to answer. But he was insisting. Then he said that throughout the day I take 5 or 6. Then he calculated what is the expenditure and he invested some money in those days the investment used to be done in the estates, in bank system. He invested the money 30 rupees so as to earn sufficient interest which will maintain her for the rest of her life. Such was his meticulous system. Secondly, he trained Sima Sharda Devi in all practical aspects of life. It's not enough to get married and leave the wife somewhere else. Sima Sharda Devi comes from a very primitive village background, Jayanambati. She even didn't know how to clean a lantern, how to clean the wick. Even the lantern was a complicated machine for her. In those days, they used to work with wicks and lamps, oil lamps, and mombatti. Now here, she taught, she received even the nitty-gritties of life from her husband. And a great third point is Sri Ramakrishna showed that how to make the conjugal life a holistic experience. He never dishonored Sima Sharda Devi. Sima Sharda Devi said that he never hurt me even with a flower. কখনো ফুল দিয়েও আঘাত করেননি। Just minor thing. One day he was engrossed in his mental mood. Srima Shardevi brought at night his food, kept it quietly and left. Sri Ramakrishna did not see her. She thought that it is his niece, Lakshmi. So then he said, close the door when you leave. Then Srima Shardevi said, okay, all right. As soon as he heard, he said, oh, I thought it is Lakshmi. I never knew that you have come. Please don't mind. What is the issue of getting mind? Is the Bengali, those who are our juniors, we say, tu band karke chale. Bengali, Hindi also, is not in English. Band karke chale ja. Lekin these are used for those who are of the lower rank, those who are juniors, servants, and our younger ones. So those who are seniors, हम कहते आप, नहीं तो तुम करो. उनको कहना था बंद करके जाओ, उन्हें कहा बंद करके जा, बंद कर दी. So that was its minor, this difference in address verbal address. Now see the consequence. Naturally, she has nothing to mind. He said, all right. Then immediately he begged apology. Please don't mind. I have used a harsh word. And to the surprise of her, following morning, he approached her and said that whole night I could not sleep, thinking that how did I misbehave with you? And this is Sri Ramakrishna. Just imagine what amount of tyranny and oppression we are doing to our women. Referring to this, she said, this was her attitude not only to me, but to all the women folk around. Swami Vivekananda said, the reason of the downfall of India from its highest glorious state is two national sins, Rashtriya Pap. One is oppression of the women, and second, suppression of the poor masses of the country. नारियों का अवमानना एवं गरीबों का दलन, ये दोनों राष्ट्रीय पाप है. Sooner we come out of this national sin, the quicker we'll achieve to the best position of the League of Nations. And Sri Ramakrishna said that Srimad Sharda Devi would be the future model of the country to replicate. And Swami Vivekananda said, centering around Srimad Sharda Devi, great women will be born again in this country, and the country will prosper to a height never seen before. So Sri Ramakrishna was given a special advantage to the householders because they are engaged in the various duties of life and also trying to realize God. And he said it is possible to do both. We have said that there was a Brahmin present there, and as per the traditional custom, he said, can one non-Brahmin realize God? So far it was debarred. Sri Ramakrishna said, of course. And he gave examples that in this age, in the present age, look at Shabari, look at Ahilla, look at Ravidas, look at Gohak Chandal. So being Shabari was a Bhil Ramani, born of a hunter class, बैद शिकार करते हैं, जानवर को मारकर उनका मांस बेचते हैं. From that family, Shabari was the highest example. of Jnana and Bhakti, as has been said in Ramayana. Similarly, here Sri Ramakrishna says about Ravidas. Now, Ravidas is of the present age. Couple of 100 years ago, he was here, born in Banaras, and being born of a cobbler's family, Chamar, he maintained his profession and showed that how God can be realized by making your profession as equal as worship. He said, my equipments of shoemaking are my instruments by which I worship God. They are no less sacred to me as the Shaligram Shila to a Brahmin. Just imagine, he is comparing the shoemaking equipment as sacred as Shaligram Shila. It is sacrilegious. There is a huge uproar among the Brahmin communities of that age. He must be punished. It is reported to the Kashi Naresh. He called him. He said that you prove whatever you say. Ravidas says, I do not believe in showing many occult powers. But what I say is from my belief and conviction. There is nothing doing. You have to do something. Then he said, all right, if the Lord wants this way, let it be. Then the Brahmins were called and asked them to throw their Salganam Shila to the Ganges and prove whether it is alive, whether it can float. Salagram Shila is a stone, it got drowned. When Ravidas saw his equipment, they were all floating in the Ganges. Everyone is surprised. So likewise, Ravidas demonstrated one after another various incidents by which the people were convinced that the profession cannot be an impediment for our realization of God. Wherever we are, if we can completely engage our mind and spirit to make that work successful, that is the highest worship possible through which we can realize the ultimate goal of life. Here it has been mentioned that there was Jhali Rani who became his disciple. And it is also said that Mirabai took her initiation from Ravidas. Ravidas, Kabir and Mirabai, they are all contemporaries. Ravidas lived for 126 years. And there are a lot of incidents centered around his life which proves his dedication and singular devotion to the Almighty. There is a story or an incident recorded. Jhali Rani was the queen of Chittor. One day she invited her guru to a bhandara she organized in Chittor in his honor. In that congregation, when the Brahmins came and knew that the so-called guru is a chamar, comes from the cobbler's family, they refused to dine with him and accept the food offered by the Rani. They wanted to leave the congregation, then Rani somehow requested them to and convinced them that she will offer them the fresh provisions so that they can cook themselves. कच्चा सीधा दिया गया, ब्राह्मणों को कच्चा सीधा दे दिया और ये कहा गया आप अलग अलग आप लोग पका लीजिए. पका हुआ अन्न ने अस्वीकार किया. So they cooked their food from the provisions provided by the royal kitchen, and they sat in the separate row. But when they started dining, they were surprised to find between two Brahmins, one Ravidas was sitting. They could not believe that same Ravidas is sitting in many forms in between two Brahmins. So they shook their heads and surprisingly they accepted his supremacy and the folly of their vanity. When they were boasting about that Janeyu, sacred thread, in this congregation Ravidas opened his chest and showed that he is already wearing a golden Janeyu within his body. And he said that is the last appearance of Ravidas in front of all. Afterwards, he was not to be seen anymore. कहा जाता है इसके बाद फिर किसी ने उन्हें नहीं देखा. वे केवल अपना चरण चिन्ह छोड़कर जो परंपरा के अनुसार स्मारक के रूप में आज भी चित्तौड़ में सुरक्षित है, सदा के लिए इस संसार से विलीन हो गए. अनंत दास के शब्दों में हरी सागर में बूंद समानी को न जाने कहाँ सिरानी. In the year 1540, at the age of 126, Ravidas bid goodbye to this world. But having been born in a low-caste family and consciously remaining there, maintaining the profession, he is ever an ideal example that how a devotee should be in order to achieve the goal which is one and all for all. रविदास जी ने स्वयं कहा था, मेरी जाति कूट मंडला ढो ढोता नित ही बनारसी आस पासा आप विप्र प्रधान तिह करो दंडवत तेरे नाम शरणाई रविदास दासा. वर्णाश्रम अभिमानत जी पदरज बंध ही जासुखी संदेह ग्रंथि खंडन निपुण वाणी विमल रविदास की. रविदास के अनुरूप एक अनूठा जीवन हमारे सामने प्रस्तुत है. एक उनके नाम पे अनेक कहानियाँ, अलौकिक विभूतियाँ लिखित है, लेकिन the gist should be accepted as it has been told by Sri Ramakrishna, that irrespective of the background, every one of us is child of God, as proclaimed by the Shastras. We have all come from one source, that is God, and we'll all go back to the same source, same destination, which is God again. In between, we remain as pure as ever. On the surface, there may be some pollution that should be cleared by repeatedly having this self-awareness that we are pure, whatever we are doing is the action, is the responsibility thrown upon us by God. He is doing the work, we are many instruments, and if we want, we can see God in this very life. We'll continue our discussion further in our next interaction, which will be 3 weeks from now. Niranjanam nityam anantarupam bhaktanukampadhrita vigraham vai Ishavataram parameshamidhyam tam Ramakrishnam shirasa namama. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Next Sunday will be our next Friday will be the 11-day long the birthday celebration of Swami Vivekananda, starting from 2nd February to 11th February. So in between there won't be any class of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. It will conclude on 11th February with a youth convention and a special speaker, Swami Ramarupanandaji, coming from Simla Ashrama, Ramakrishna Mission Simla. So there will be a day-long youth program from 8:30 to 5:30, and that is also Brahmananda Jayanti on 11th February. So our next class on Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna will be 18th February, which is again incidentally the annual foundation day of our hospital. But the morning class will be held and we'll have a special function in the hospital on that day. We close now with the chanting of the Lord. Please join with me. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om.